And showtime, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup, a look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I'm executive editor of the ChannelPro Network and one of your hosts on this program. With me, as always, including here in the new year 2019, is my co-host Eric Simpson, a business improvement and transformation consultant for MSPs and other solution providers. Eric, how are you doing?
Well, Rich, I'm doing better today than I have in the last week or so. I'm just getting over a terrible chest and head cold. So if you hear a little bit of a frog in my throat, that's what you're hearing.
So the good news is you're getting this out of the way at the beginning of the year, and it's all smooth sailing from here. So it's going to be a great 2019. The hard part's behind you now.
I like that approach. I'm going to adopt it, and that'll be my story moving forward.
Okay. Good. Well, you know, it's a short week. We had the New Year's holiday on Tuesday, and I know I was still on break on Monday the 31st. So not a whole lot of news actually broke this week for us to discuss. So I thought I would dive into something that was announced yesterday, actually, by IDC. They issued their annual update to their Internet of Things worldwide spending forecast, which I thought was worth taking a look at. Because here we are in a new year, and what better time for folks in the ChannelPro audience and for your customers, Eric, to be looking at new markets maybe to jump into. So listen to this here. The forecast for Internet of Things spending in 2019 is $745 billion worldwide. That is up 15.4% over the $646 billion spent last year, and IDC is expecting double-digit growth in the Internet of Things every year through 2022 at this point. And by the time you reach 2022, global IoT spending will be in excess of $1 trillion annually. So we're talking about a pretty giant market here. Now, $108 billion of that in 2019 is going to be spent by consumers on consumer technologies, all the familiar stuff like Nest thermostats and Ring doorbells and so on and so forth. But the lion's share of that $745 billion is going to be in the commercial sector and state and local government. So very much the kinds of companies that folks watching this video are selling to right now. This is something that is potentially in their wheelhouse. You look at the fastest growing markets over that 5-year report period covered by the report. They include healthcare in the form of bedside telemetry, in-store contextualized marketing, transportation, agriculture field monitoring. So these are all solutions that could potentially be used by clients that a lot of people watching this video right now are selling to and supporting. And last but not least, I'll mention that significantly, the big number here in terms of where the money is going will be IoT services. That'll be the largest technology category in 2019, accounting for $258 billion of that $745 billion total. So service providers in particular have an enormous opportunity ahead of them in IoT. So I would just encourage people who are watching now to take a look at some of the solutions that are coming out, especially from the distributors, I would say. In the last 6 months, some of the big distributors, Ingram Micro, Synex in particular, have been coming out with these relatively simple, pre-packaged, pre-bundled kinds of IoT solutions that are a quick way to get into that market and grab your piece of what by 2022 is going to be a $1 trillion market.
Yeah, it's really accelerating very, very quickly as more and more devices become interconnected through the Internet of Things. You know, and what we're seeing here is kind of history repeating itself. Whenever there's a new technology or breakthrough that comes along, the services industry, you know, just hitches up their caboose to that and opens up wide markets. It reminds me of, you know, back when Edison, you know, started lighting up cities and towns with electricity, you know, made a lot of money back then, but the services that came behind that, servicing the grid, servicing the products that connected to the electrical grid and things like that. Think about it. This is the Internet of Things now becoming the grid for the next, you know, for the foreseeable future. So all of these new products and services that are going to be interconnecting to the grid and servicing and maintaining the grid and those products and their capabilities on the grid is where the opportunity lies. So it's, it is a tremendous evolution forward.
And as we always say about these big opportunities, service opportunities especially, it pays to get in early. So you want to be on the early edge of this, be an early adopter, stake out your position in the marketplace, and make everybody else catch up to you. Basically, now really is the time for people to be, I think, for people to be looking into this IoT market. But it's also a perfect time, Eric, as we're entering a new year, for people to be taking a look at something else, and that has to do with your tip of the week.
Correct, Rich. So as I'm entering into the new year with my clients, my consulting clients, I'm spending more and more time with them reviewing and revising their comp plans. And, if you haven't reviewed and revised your comp plans in a while, there's no better time than the present to do so. And, I get asked the question a lot, Rich, when's the right time to revise a comp plan? Well, anytime that, your folks aren't performing, or it's not incenting them to perform, or it's not rewarding them adequately for their performance. So sometimes, there's a mismatch between a comp plan and what someone is actually doing. Maybe we're not incenting the right thing. Maybe we have a downturn in a specific service or product that we've been selling for a while, and we don't adjust our comp plans to incent an adjustment to make that change. Or we bring in a new product, service, or solution, and we don't adjust the comp plan to really focus on getting that out the door quickly and gaining a lot of market share. So, I'm a big fan of performance-based comp plans. So I'm not a subscriber to the belief that, hey, someone deserves a raise just because they've been here for another year, right? There's an exchange that goes on between a business owner and their team. And that exchange is, hey, here's what the role requires. If you do your role, then, my appreciation and thank you comes in the form of a paycheck and whatever the comp or bonus structure is at that point. But when I look at revising comp plans in order to initiate, higher performance or things that go beyond what the norm is, that's where it gets really interesting, Rich, where we get to sit there and say, okay, let's put together a comp plan that measures exceeding these, different parameters by different ranges. And the higher that someone exceeds these different points, the higher their commission or bonus might be. And the revenue that pays for that comes from their increased efficiencies or higher sales and things like that. So I like looking at things from a holistic view. And let's face it, nobody likes, to hear that, hey, comp plans are being rewritten, because everybody thinks, wow, it just means that I'm going to get less of the pie. That's not my approach at all. It's like, let's create a comp plan that compels these folks to get excited about the opportunity to make more money, but to exceed the norm. So influence that performance and then reward them when they exceed those expectations and achieve that success for everyone on the team.
And this dovetails with advice you've offered on the program before in terms of performance reviews, and that doesn't have to be something that's an annual exercise. A conversation you're having with an employee just once a year, you can do that on a more regular basis, and there are benefits, in fact, to doing that. Same goes with compensation plans, as you were saying. There are triggers and hooks basically that make it a good idea to update that on a more than annual basis.
Right. And I think that some business owners think that, oh, we've written the comp plan, we need to let it run its course through the year. That's not the case at all. I mean, you get to decide what triggers and levers that you can adjust to influence the performance of your team. Or, like I said, even to remain competitive in the market. I'm also working with some partners that their comp plans, their base salary is just not competitive anymore, especially in today's climate where there's very low unemployment and everyone is competing for the same pool of talented people. So again, you might be uncomfortable increasing your base rates and things like that to compete, but it's the cost of doing business.
It absolutely is. And that leaves us time, though, for just one more story. And we are going to be returning to a theme that we've discussed a few times here on the program in the last year. It's a favorite of ours, frequent flyers that we are, and that is the presence of emotional support animals on airlines. Now, just yesterday, in fact, United Airlines joined Delta in banning emotional support kittens and emotional support puppies on board their flights. So the airlines are starting to crack down on emotional support peacocks and such that we've been seeing a lot of. But we want to give a belated shout out to the good folks at Popeyes Fried Chicken, who before the holidays, in between our this episode and the last one that we did, came out with a special promotion at the Philadelphia International Airport. They were handing out emotional support chickens to flyers coping with the stresses of holiday travel. Now, this was not actually a live chicken. This was a chicken dinner in a box shaped like a chicken. A mere $8.49, but you know, I'm sure much appreciated by folks who are not allowed to bring their emotional support hamster onto the plane.
And the best part about that is it's shaped and looked like a chicken. The box is so funny. So yeah, kudos to Popeyes. You know, one of the most flavorful and spicy of the chicken you know, vendors out there for the quick thinking on the marketing team side for the emotional support chicken dinner.
As far as I know, no airline has banned the emotional support chicken. Should that make a return appearance? So that is all the time we've got this week on the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. Thank you very much for joining us. If you like the show, you'd like to keep up with future episodes, take a look at some we've recorded in the past. What you want to do is go to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube and subscribe there, and we'll keep you up to date on everything that we're doing. You want to learn more about Erick and his business, best place to go is ericksimpson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. For more information about trends and developments in the SMB channel, you want to go to channelpronetwork.com on a daily basis. We've got business growth advice for you, information about research studies like this IDC one on IoT, breaking news, etc. for you there. In the meantime, we will be back with you next week for another episode of the 5-Minute Roundup. Until then, though, enjoy the rest of your week. Erick and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.